Alright, so we got the motherfucking moon in Gemini. So your moon is how you react and respond to feelings, emotions, and of course your instinctive, your intuition. When the moon get in Gemini, what is Gemini? Gemini is motherfucking mutable air, being mutable and adaptable when it comes to switching up and being versatile when it comes to thinking and communication. So of course, Gemini is very great with the mind, very great with the intellect, and of course, this is backed and supported by Mercury. Mercury is the way we think, communicate, analyze, and interact on a day-to-day basis. Good with the hands, good with the words, good with the mind. And of course, with this position in here, we also have the sun in Virgo. What is the sun? The sun is your actions, how you do in the physical representation, how you express yourself and put yourself forward. And of course, your ascendant is your personality, what's being seen behind the scenes. And of course, with this positioning right here, we have two planets into cahoots with each other, which means Mercury exalts Mercury, which means that we may go to the extremes when it comes to too much of analyzing, thinking, communicating, looking at the details, and of course, stressing and over worrying about these things. Also, this is going to put you into a position of your wants and needs could be at conflict right now. So whatever you want, which would be your actions, which would be Virgo, want to be organized, want to be detail-oriented, these can be at odds with the moon, with the ways you react and respond to things, which is the way you communicate, the way you get into interactions, and of course, the way you come across with other individuals. See, this is also a square right here. So this is going to be some conflict going on, feel me? So with conflict, you got to pretty much deal with this internally. So this is like an internal nature where you got to make sure your insides is good before you interact with the world, basically go about your day. And of course, your inner world comes first. So 10 times out of 10, you're always going to be feeling the need to do things right. And of course, you can become very lazy with this transit. And you may go to the extremes, getting too logical, too left brain manner. And of course, this will put you into a position where you're going to be the demon. Feel me? So everybody going to be paying attention to details, practicalization, routine, health, scheduling, and of course, interactions, communications, and surroundings. Everybody gonna be paying attention to that right now. This could be to the best of your advantage, or it could be to the worst. It depends on how you basically accept it and play it out. And wherever you have these at in your positioning, these are the areas where you're gonna be experiencing. So of course, the North Node is in Gemini right now. So everybody need to be coming up with a new way to be the face of the way they utilize their intellect, their communication, and of course their growth. And if you're not growing in these areas and acting out in these transits, you can fuck yourself up. You don't want to fuck yourself up. You want to put yourself into a position where you want to make sure everything is even, fair, square minded. So with that being said, we're gonna basically get into these energies right now. So wherever you have Gemini at in your house, these are the areas where you can find a new way to get out of a desire, or you can find a new way to be a demon or a devil in disguise. See, being a demon and a devil means you go into the extremes of a desire and just overindulging into these areas. And when you don't see anything else of the world and you get too logical with these shits, it can put you into a hemisphere of you putting yourself into a position of not getting out of that rut. And when you get into that area too deeply rooted, when it's time to change and transform, it's very catastrophic, because these things that you wanted to basically give up and resist, that you were showing resistment to, it pretty much shatters. And of course, you take this with you to the grave. And when you take things to the grave and your shit ain't empty, you're already gonna be a skeleton before your ass get buried. So this is gonna be a position where you need to let loose in certain areas and try not to put yourself into a stagnated mentality or a stagnated fracture. Get yourself out of that shell and you'll be all right. See, also with this positioning, past experiences when it came to your actions and the way you react to respond to things, which can be your previous childlike natures and things that matter, these things could basically be popping up right now. Wherever you have conflict at, you're going to be experiencing these areas. For me, past experiences, past hurt, past trauma, these areas can basically be popping right back up again, because the way we act and respond to things is at war, is at conflict. And of course, people can basically be seen very oversensitive during this time, very dramatic and upbeat. good for the bad. But depending on what kind of areas you was at, depending on what space you was in, depending on how your ass went to sleep, depending on what you ate, depending on how you was vibrating, these are the areas where you're going to be basically filling these out the most. Now, wherever you have, we're going to do the North Node. Wherever you have your North Node at, you either need to accumulate more adjustments, more ways to be adaptable, and more ways to basically get more intellectual. And of course, your South Node will be predicated towards past experiences. So past experience will be predicated towards being mutable and adaptable and aware of your comfortability and not making these things a stagnation to where you don't want to give up these assets and not get onto your spiritual journey. See, if you have an Aries North Node, then that means you're going to have opportunities with this Moon and Gemini North Node. You're going to have opportunities to be initiative and have mental pursuits when it comes to your actions. That means you're going to have opportunities to be selfish in a communicative way, in a more passionate way. You have this in Taurus. You're going to be making adjustments in a new ways, in a more adaptable way when it comes to thinking and communicating. Of course, finding new ways to be fixated on your ideas. Finding new ways to basically switch up your ideas. I mean, and not allow yourself to basically get too deeply rooted into desires. Learn how to bring practicality to these things and not get to a point to where you so stuck into your emotional natures you ain't got nothing physically going on with yourself. You got to switch these things up. Find a new way to get fixated and crystallize what you're trying to basically go for your path. See, if you got this North Node and Gemini, this is pretty much what you need to be doing right now. Getting more out there. Stop trying to pretty much play it like you know it, or try to affiliate yourself more with your surroundings, your crowd, and things that matter. I mean, your past experiences, you already pretty much dealt with situations of knowing it all, or pretty much being into a position that you was playing far out distances. Means your information was far out there, the way you see the world is far out there, and your passion is far out there, which would be Sagittarius. For me, which ain't too bad, but you gotta learn how to basically blend these two together and be right. If you got North Node in Cancer, you need to be seeing the other side of how you can make adjustments when it comes to your actions on tenderness, care, and loving. Coming up with new ways to do these things, whether it's with the ideas or hands or any way, but predicated towards new ways on how to adapt to these areas. Feel me? Switching things up. Coming up with new ways on how to do it. Seeing how you can help other people in other ways and not just one way. Even though you're already a cardinal sign. So it's not going to be that hard for you to basically put yourself into a position of being too mutable. Feel me? Now, if you got a North Node and Leo, you're going to have opportunities to take actions on being center stage, but try to switch these things up. Take actions in another way where you can basically analyze and cahoot with the environment and not put yourself into a selfish, secluded area. You have Virgo North Node. You're going to basically be coming up with new ways to be mutable and adaptable when it comes to thinking and communication. And of course, being more practical in these areas. Feel me? Finding new ways to be practical. Switching the routine up. Getting out of a routine. Getting out of a rut. If you have this in Libra, you're going to have the gift to be more assertive when it comes to thinking and communication. Of course, switching things up. And you won't have an issue with this because you're a cardinal. So you're going to be coming up with new ways to think, communicate, analyze, and of course, get to cahoots with individuals and interact with them in new ways. Not just ways where it can be too harmonious. Try to put yourself into the shoes of others. Get into others' membranes of how they communicate and cahoots with each other, and you're basically get into that spectrum where you can find ways to swindle your area around that position. If you have your North Node and Scorpio, you're going to be dealing with misunderstandings, but pretty much you have to get more into your perspective of getting more secluded, getting more into your spiritual path, your spiritual journey, behind the scenes, and of course, get into the occult, the mysticism, doing things closed doors, not allowing individuals to know what you got going on. If you have your North Node here, you got to do these things behind the scenes, communicate these things. Of course, come up with new ways to basically find ways to do things behind the scenes or find ways to be secretive. You have your North Node and Sagittarius, you're going to be basically dealing with opposite energies when it comes to your spiritual purposes. I mean, you either going to be giving off opposite energies, or you're going to be receiving opposite energies, where individuals may be blocking you towards your spiritual journey, your spiritual path, on how you can basically develop information, wisdom, and knowledge. Individuals may be basically trying to taunt you in certain areas or keep you in certain environments, in certain arenas where you won't feel comfortable getting out of. I mean, you, of course, you got to put yourself into the shoes of getting out of these areas, and of course, using these individuals as a scheme to make your way and make the information come to you. But of course, you're going to be coming up with new ways to be mutable and adaptable when it comes to the air, the intellect, the logic, and of course, cahoopting yourself more to areas where you can come down a little bit and not be too far out there, because your past experiences, North Node, for you speakingly and generally. So your North Node would be Sagittarius, and of course, that's opposite in your perspective on things. So of course, you need to take on opportunities and gifts, and try not to put yourself into a tug of war situation. For me, learn how to adapt to these things and see how other individuals come out these things and come up with your own way of thinking and communicating using your air element. Also, if you have Capricorn North Node, you're going to be dealing with misunderstandings when it comes to misinterpretations of your own ways of thinking and communicating and analyzing, being mutable and adaptable when it comes to your status, your career, your business, your goals, and of course your ambitions. You could be seen misunderstood. Your path, your spiritual path is going to be seen misunderstood, kind of out of control, chaotic. And of course, you got to put yourself into a position where you can make these things work for you. Make sure you put yourself first. Learn more about yourself. It'd be more practical and more mutable ways, and adaptable and more mutable ways when it comes to your status, your career, your goals, and of course, communicate about these things. Let me share these things, and you'll be all right. You have, if you have North Node in Aquarius, you're gonna have the gift to be unique towards your spiritual journey. It may seem open-minded. It may seem open to new experiences, open to new perspectives. You're probably gonna be all over the place when it comes to your spiritual journey. Like the information gonna come to you in ways where it can be like out of the box, or in situations where you may have to be a little bit more alienated to pretty much work more on yourself. Technology, the behind the scenes, closed doors. So these are the areas where you're gonna pretty much need to not be hesitate towards. You're gonna feel the need to basically get out that ego, leave the ego alone, put yourself into a better predicament where you can basically be yourself and just go after what you try to strive for, and you'll be out in this position. And also, if you have a North Node and Pisces, this is going to be an area where you're going to be going through some conflict when it comes to your spiritual journey. You're going to be dealing with conflict. You may got so used to doing things in a practical manner and looking at the details before you took actions. See, now it's reciprocated now it's the other way around. Or also, see, only way this can work is if you have a balance between logical perspectives and more your dreams, your imagination. See, your purpose is to get more into your dreams and imagination, be more mutable with it, more adaptable with it. And of course, you already have these elements within you. But of course, you're gonna be dealing with some conflict when it comes to reality, when it comes to what's needed to be done properly or correctly. You're gonna be dealing with some experiences of conflict in these areas when it comes towards your spiritual journey, your spiritual path. See, if you can basically get to cahoots, get in your bag, and get more stabilized and more practicalized and have a fixed foundation. Feel me now? Don't get it twisted now. You can use your South Node, but try not to get too comfortable in these areas. But remember, you got to blend the three together. You have a South Node, which is your past. You have a North Node, is what you need to do now. And of course, you have the general North Node on how you need to be seen in the world and your own pursuits. For me, and if you don't want to be seen in this world, what's the purpose of you even coming to this earth? For me, you have options. But with this positioning, you got to learn how to deal with these conflicts and deal with these opposing energies. And of course, if you can find out where you have opposites at in your charts or squares at, these can basically better help you on how you can coexist with these areas. But it's mostly important to basically get on your spiritual journey around. Being that the moon is in Gemini, of course, North Node is in Gemini, so you're going to be reacting, responding to new ways to get out of a funk, being a demon, or new ways to get on your spiritual journey. That's pretty much what's dealing with.